over the past 12 years, the online gaming market has increased by over 5.5 times what it used to be, according to an article published on Online Gaming. Much of this class plays video games, and learning player versus player skills, or PvP skills, can help with this multiplayer gaming, but it can also build team building exercises. Even experienced players with Guild Wars 2, which is the game I'll be talking about, can get something out of this presentation since Guild Wars was just updated a few months ago. So, in Guild Wars 2, playing player versus player requires many different factors, including your weapons, your armor, your traits, your skills, and the technique that you use while using all of these together. First, let me give a little background information. Guild Wars 2 is a massively multiplayer online role-playing game, also known as an MMORPG. There are 8 different classes in Guild Wars 2. Along with these classes, there are many different weapons that you can use, like a great sword, or a hammer, or a rifle. So, part of building a character is picking out specializations, which inside of these specializations there are different traits. Along with those traits are 8 different stat bonuses. These are power, toughness, vitality, precision, ferocity, condition damage, healing power, and agony resistance. Each class also gets 10 skills. The first 5 are your weapon skills, and the second 5 are your slot skills, which are chosen by the user. Each class also has a special ability, which is here, which is F1. Each class has a different one, so they're not going to be overlapping across classes. And once you put everything together, you get what's called a build. So I'll explain all these factors throughout my presentation, but are there any questions so far about how the game actually works? Alright, so I can now start to talk about how to set up your character. First off, you're going to want to choose a weapon. So today I'm going to be focused on building a character class of a warrior. Now, Tap That Mouse on YouTube says that this build that I'm talking about is one of the hardest hitting builds on the market today. And on a side note, the warrior's special, which I pointed out before, is that he gains adrenaline while in combat. And then this adrenaline is used to fuel another skill called a burst skill. So the warrior can wield different weapons, including swords, war horns, great swords, hammers, longbows, shields, and rifles. And I must take all these into consideration when picking what 2 I have to use. For the warrior, I chose a great sword and a hammer. First off, the great sword provides a high amount of damage and a closing and a range skill. A closing skill would be something like Rush, as seen here, as he closes the distance between me and the enemy. A range skill would be something like Blade Trail, because I can attack the enemy from a distance. One of the other main skills that a warrior can use with his greatsword is called 100 Blades. As you can see, this attack deals a large amount of damage, but it also takes a while for the attack to actually complete. But this skill will come in handy later. The hammer also provides a large amount of stuns and interrupts. Backbreaker, as seen here, knocks back the enemy and stuns him for a short amount of time. The hammer's burst skill can also stun the enemy for up to 2 seconds. So once you choose your weapons, you're going to want to go in and choose your armor. Now, armor in PvP is actually just a vanity. The actual stat bonuses come from this amulet, because they want to level the playing field across all characters. So for the warrior, I chose this Berserker's amulet because it has the highest amount of power, so I can deal the most amount of damage. The next step is to choose your specializations. There are 5 different specialization categories: strength, discipline, defense, arms, and tactics. For my warrior, I chose strength, defense, and discipline. Strength adds traits that increase damage output. Like this trait here, Forceful Greatsword, increases the amount of damage I can deal with my greatsword while I'm wielding it. I also chose defense, because it has increased healing and increased toughness, so I take less damage. For example, this move, Adrenal Health, heals me over time depending on how much adrenaline I have built up, which I explained earlier, I get adrenaline while I fight. So I'm essentially getting more health as I fight for a longer period of time. And finally, I chose Discipline because that has this skill, Fast Hands, which decreases the weapon swap time from 10 seconds to 5 seconds. So I can switch in and out between my two even faster. Now before I move into my last point, which is technique, I want to talk about the slot skills. As I mentioned before, there are 5 slot skills, which are the 5 last skills on the skill bar. These include 1 healing skill, 3 class skills, and an elite skill. The healing skill provides a small amount of health regeneration. Class skills add variability while you're fighting, and the elite skill is usually one of the best skills that you'll have in your arsenal. Now these skills can go along with your traits so far that you've picked out, but they can also be other skills that randomly help you while you're in the heat of battle. So for example, my warrior, as I've explained, has traits to help with his burst skill and give passive healing. So when I chose his healing skill, I did the healing signet, which increases health regeneration over, passively, so I don't have to actually activate it. So that goes hand in hand with that adrenal health, which I talked about earlier. My class skills also give me different moves while I'm in the heat of battle. For example, one of them helps me not take any damage for a few seconds, which can come in handy if somebody's really putting on a lot of damage on you. So the last step is to put this all together. Starting off, or with your technique, starting off you're going to want to use some sort of range skill or closing skill to get in close with your enemy. From there you're going to want to create combos. These combos provide the highest amount of DPS. For example, Meta Battle, which is a Trusted Guild Wars 2 reference, says that as a warrior, I should set up my 100 Blades attack with a stun. So I can use Backbreaker, which I showed before, and stun the enemy, and move right into 100 Blades so that I can deal a large amount of damage in a short amount of time. So, now let's watch a video, and I voice over here so I can actually talk about and explain everything I'm doing and why I'm doing it.
In this video, I'm going to play 2 fights. First, I'll play each one in normal time, and then I'll slow it down so I can dissect exactly what I'm doing. In this fight, notice how there is never any downtime. Even when I'm far away, I'm using some sort of range skill, or I'm rushing close to the enemy so I can fight him hand to hand. Even though I missed my first attack, I can still hit him with a range attack, and then follow through. Then while I'm still far away, hit him with another range attack, and then close the distance and finish him off. In this next fight, watch how I combo my stuns together. I can interrupt his attack, stun him, and then stun him again. And then as soon as he starts to run away, I can close it down and finish. I start by closing the distance. Now even though I'm still far away and I miss my range attack, I still interrupt him before he can hit me. Then I can move into my stuns. I stun him once, hit him hard, and then stun him again. Even though he stuns me here, I use a skill where I don't take any damage, so when he's hitting me, I'm still not losing any health. Then I can close the distance again. As soon as I see him run away, I can close the distance a final time and finish him off. And that is how you play Guild Wars 2 PvP.
So now that I've explained everything about player versus player in Guild Wars 2, I can review. PvP can be very easy if you know what you're doing. There are many different factors that you need to take into consideration, like your weapons, your armor, your traits, your specializations, and your technique. These skills learned in playing PvP can be very helpful in any online game, because even the part of moving your skills into a combo that can be used across games. So if I were playing World of Warcraft, for example, I'd still want to use those same techniques to use or to deal the highest amount of damage.